we didn't have the shot clock. So by the time I got to college, I know I'm dating myself. By the time I got to college, it was my first time playing with the shot clock. So there was definitely a huge learning curve. Like would leave or disappear. You wouldn't see them all winter. And then they come out in the summer league, Berry Farms, different places. And you'd be like, I haven't seen you. And the guy may say he was overseas, but he really wasn't. For me, I certainly wasn't looking for it. So, but I'm blessed to be really good at it. Doesn't feel like work, all those things you hear, those cliches. So you're certainly getting a couple of practices during the week with your AAU team. And then on the weekend, if you're not playing, like your growth is still being stunted because you're not playing pickup ball. Certainly not playing with older guys. You're not even playing with people your age. Like I always tell people, like I never thought I was a good player until the older guys in my neighborhood let me play. As a freshman, I knew the kid was going to be special because he was already cheating to win as a freshman.
Yeah. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
So you think like somebody had this in order from the beginning?
Make the style go a certain way, but then how I just, at the end of the day, people still got their own coaching styles, right?
Welcome to Game Related, where we highlight opportunities and obstacles from former athletes with the thought process of giving future generations a better understanding about the game.
These conversations are meant to bring awareness to the opportunities and the hardships that come along with the game. Let's get game related.
All right, y'all, we back with another episode in season 4, man. To me, I think we got one of the best coaches in America in the building today, Eric Singletary. It's been a long time coming. I'm glad we were actually able to connect now versus in the beginning of our infancy stage of Game Related, because I think we're a lot better interviewers now, right? So, man, we're going to get on here and talk about just Eric's ability to instill confidence in his players, the reason why he's been, one of the best coaches for a very long time. And then just getting into, we're going to talk college and NIL and all that other good stuff, man. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. That's my young boys right here, man. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nah, I laugh, man. He's seen our development from
yeah. So I've seen you guys grow up to be men, man. That's a very incredible journey, man. I've been so proud to watch you guys, take this endeavor on and doing a great job.
Thank you, man. So, man, one of the first things I wanted to jump into is the fact that from what I've seen for a long time, you've been able to take players, and when they leave your program, they are so much better than when they started. You know what I mean? I feel like you put confidence into these players and you make them believe in themselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, just talk about your theories behind that.
I mean, I think that's the most important thing you can do as a coach, honestly. I mean, the X's and O's are great. Obviously, you got to have them. But, man, trying to instill confidence in young people at such an insecure time. I mean, I think high school was just full of insecurities and discovery. So I just try to breathe life into players. Always coach how I wish I was coached. Certainly had some good coaches who instilled a lot of great values that I take. But yeah, how I wish I was coached is the secret sauce. I think I try to put that into guys. I don't want them overthinking that, there's things that they can't do on the court. I want them believing that they can do it all. I can coach you to do something better, but I can't coach you if you're just kind of robotic and kind of stuck in your own way. So I think that's the hallmark of our success, is the development of our players over time. And a lot of that is, like you said, through just delivering that consistent, confident message.
Yeah. One thing I remember probably like 6 years ago, y'all had the shooter, what was the kid's name?
Jason Gibson?
Jason Gibson, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it was me, you, and Mike Brown talking about it, right? Yeah. And you were saying to us that, like, in the beginning of the game, you used to tell him, I don't care if you make a miss, I want you to shoot this shot. Mm-hmm. Like, just talk about just some coaches would be like, I wouldn't want nobody doing something like that, but just talk about the mental of that.
Yeah, I just think it's important. I mean, you don't do that. You try to instill the confidence in each player according to their ability. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was so good and such a good shooter, like you said, that, I wanted his first shot to be from 28 feet. And I was like, you don't have to make it, right? They just got to know they got to guard you out there today. So twofold, like if he makes it or shoots it, like puts the team on their heels defensively. But then like for him, it just releases him from thinking about even a good player like him can be subject to overthinking, and especially being at the top of the scouting report. And I want him to get that first shot off. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like football. Like if you do a flea flicker on the first play, then the defense knows like the whole playbook is open. You know what I mean? So that's my mentality in telling them that.
I love that, man. So just talk about the season. I feel like you still had a very successful season. You were obviously missing one of your top guys for quite some time, but you had some guys step up and really kind of fill those voids, man. Just talk about your overall thoughts on the season. What did you learn, and where did you feel you got better?
Man, I think it's a great question. I learned that our culture is stronger than I thought, even though it's something I emphasize on a daily basis. We've been lucky, fortunate over the last maybe 6-7 years. We've been very healthy, like coming down the stretch. As you guys know, playing, like getting through a season, the healthier team sometimes crosses the finish line. So we've been very blessed with that. And this year we had 2 major injuries to our 2 best players who kind of were in and out of the lineup all year. Basically, I think between the 2 only played 9 games. Wow. So to me, I learned that I'm tougher. Our culture is really strong. And we got some young guys who didn't think anything of it, didn't blink, and stepped up and got us to another conference championship, got us back to the state championship where we lost to your alma mater. But a great game and a great showing. I mean, I was just really impressed with, Sidwell basketball kind of showed up in a way where we didn't skip a beat, even with those major injuries like that.
Yeah. And to that game, man, y'all, there was a part where I was like, uh-oh,
It was that one segment I thought that they did a great job holding us off. I thought we put some real game pressure on them, like things could kind of change. But all credit to, veteran team, awesome players, and they came to play. And it's in a weird way, you always want to win, but I felt good for that group to kind of they were always better, but it's almost like they salvaged their careers with that state championship. They didn't need to do that, but in a lot of people's eyes, I'm happy for those guys that they went out on top.
Yeah, nice, man. So let's jump into a Kaden Lewis.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was in and out of the roster this year. I remember when he first came to you. You know what I mean? And not saying that he wasn't skilled or whatever, but I really watched his confidence grow. You know what I mean? When he first came to Sidwell, talk about what y'all conversations was, and obviously it has blossomed.
I mean, obviously I knew who Kaden was coming out of middle school. Went to Deal right up the street. So I knew who he was. Certainly we played against him a couple of times when he was at St. John's. And like you said, very skilled player. Gym rat, loves to be in the gym. I just thought he was a player that was looking for direction, was looking for relationship with the coach. But I also told him those were things that he had to foster as well. You can't look for something that you're not willing to give back. So a lot of our initial conversations were, what do you want from the game? What are you afraid of? I try to tackle guys' fears first. I'm like, if I don't know what you're afraid of, I can't really coach you. And he was very vulnerable and honest with me. And I think he came in at a great time learning from Cam Gillis what our culture was like. So it wasn't an ability thing. I just think he needed to adopt and figure out how we play, what the culture was like. I think at the time he was a guy who could handle the ball, but that doesn't mean you're a point guard. And so I think we taught him how to play the position. And I think obviously that combined with his natural talent, natural feel for the game, and his work ethic. I think that's what we've seen manifest over time into a really great player, one of the top players in the country.
Man, it's beautiful kind of watching his growth. Obviously, he decommitted from Kentucky, and obviously he just signed with Villanova. I feel like his value actually went up during that time. Just talk about, obviously you got the basketball side, but having to, I don't know how much you were involved in helping him navigate, that process, but talk about having a high profile guy and how you handled and managed, working with him. Yeah.
I mean, I try to work with all my players. It's a good thing I'm getting long in the tooth. I've been around a little bit to deal with these recruiting processes. But like you said, probably our highest profile player we've ever had. So it was a new time now with the NIL, all that stuff. So it's some adjustments and learning curves that even I had to go through. But certainly it was the same formula, just trying to get them to understand pros and cons, what you should be looking for in a school, even without the money and all the different financial things that come with it now. But it was a circuitous route. I mean, I think that he had, at one point he had every blue blood in America. I know that can be very seductive.
Right.
I'm sure he felt good about that. But at times, as we all know, the recruiting process can start getting overwhelming. So it's fun at first, and then you get exhausted. It's hard to really tell everybody no. How do you make a really great decision? So, like I said, it was a circuitous route to get to Villanova. But you guys will love this. Now that we have 3 guys from Sidwell who now have gone to Villanova, I was teased Villanova people, like none of the 3, it was their first choice. So great landing spot. Hopefully he has a great career like Josh and Sadiq, but it was neither one of their first choices. So I find that ironic. But no, I just tried to help him along with his family and just navigate the space, right? And try to keep it about basketball as much as you can. Yeah. I know that's difficult today when like you said, his valuation went up after the decommitment. I think that was a product of timing. To have a top 5 guard in the country be available that late was always going to make him, as teams figured out who their rosters were, it was going to be a time where he was going to be in demand again. So I'm glad that we landed at Villanova. I keep my hands on him a little bit, right up the road. And so, I'm anticipating him having a really good career.
Yeah, I'm hoping he has a healthy summer.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I want to definitely give you your flowers for when you said like he was a good ball handler, but then teaching him to actually be a point guard, because I know for me personally, just growing up, like I really didn't understand how to be a point guard until I was overseas playing.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And I had good coaches. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like I had good coaches and I played the position, but to really understand how to be a point guard, and I don't know, maybe because the talent or the IQ was different when I got over there. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm just playing with just really good players all the time growing up. I didn't have to really everybody just around me knew how to play, and they was good. But yeah, I just wanted to.
I'm gonna also add that his coach in college told him he need to be shooting 10 threes a game. So I don't know if he said that. He did say 10 threes a game. Listen, this man was able to shoot 10 threes a game.
Hey, by necessity, man.
It was not when I first got there.
Look, by the time I was a sophomore, junior, listen,
let it fly.
Let it fly.
Listen. He earned it. But no, that's interesting you say that though, Rennie, because like you said, I definitely think, I was a pretty good point guard in high school, but you're right, and I was around that time where we didn't have the shot clock. So by the time I got to college, I know I'm dating myself. By the time I got to college, it was my first time playing with the shot clock. So there was definitely a huge learning curve once you start doing that and being responsible for others' success at a higher rate. And so like you said, it takes time. I'm not surprised. I mean, you were so good at it, so I'm surprised that it took that long, but I'm not surprised because it is a position that constantly evolves, as far as like, once you become smarter, you're like, man, this is like a lot easier, than I thought it was, or it's harder than I thought it was, either way. So I'm definitely like proud to foster his development and his feel for the game, his understanding of the game, watching film, like I said, being responsible for others. Like, leading the team is totally different than like just having the ball in your hands.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. We want to get into something we call like this, the game within the game, right? Okay. So now we have the transfer portal. It's like, what are your thoughts on the transfer portal and how it's affecting the high school kids?
Man, obviously it's in an adverse way. I think it's an ecosystem that, you don't know where it starts. I've been trying to figure out the little route, who's responsible. But yeah, I think that if there were restrictions on player movement, and that's where people tend to focus, but also needs to be restriction on player coach acquisition. So if the coaches were restricted and only maybe taking 1 or 2 guys out of the portal, then I think we would see the advent coming back to taking more high school players, because then they wouldn't be worried about losing their own players. I mean, some coaches have to recruit their own team over again. And they may lose. I mean, you get the wraparound effect where like your best player leaves because he played well and he gets more money from a bigger school. And then the player that should have been waiting his turn, he gets impatient and he leaves too. So you lose both players. So I think that there has to be, it may start with player movement restriction, but then I think that would also play into coaches not feeling as anxious to like go into the portal. Because when I talk to a lot of coaches, I'm always like, man, this is a cognitive dissonance, like where guys are complaining about the portal, but then they're also abusing the portal. Right? You know what I mean? So I think there definitely needs to be like, you know, some restrictions placed on players and coaches. And I think that would ultimately lead back to more high school players being a much more viable option than people feeling like the need to get old and protect my job, the job security and stuff like that.
Do you think, Fonzo, from a coaching standpoint, like, that coaches don't even want to go to that whole like, well, ain't no need for me to try to sit here and really develop this kid because he might not stay. If I develop him and he becomes really good, then he's just going to leave anyway. So it's like, what's the point? Yeah,
I think that's the next iteration, like where you may start seeing like some mid-majors or low mid-majors be farm teams for, you know, big, you know, I make you good. And I make a promise to another, you know, just kind of like that quid pro quo. Maybe I get something in return for letting you go to the bigger school or getting you ready. I just think development should be in your DNA, but I agree with you that, you know, it may not be, you don't have the same impetus to do it because it's like now you kind of coaching 1 year at a time. So you're not thinking about developing like long term, you know what I mean? Obviously the kids you get to keep, you know, you and your staff will get those guys better. But like you said, there's just no sense of like holding them and keeping them there. So you're actually coaching 1 year at a time.
Yeah, it's crazy how the times have changed.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that can be incredibly like cumbersome as a coach where you feel like, especially if one of your gifts is to develop and like now you have to readjust to like, how do I coach one game at a time, one season at a time, even on a 4-year contract, you know what I mean? So, I mean, now I know if I was like to get to that level, I probably want them to give me a 7-year contract.
No, right?
You know, one thing that you just said when you mentioned about like a mid-major developing and bringing them up, right? I think on the back end, what you said is you might got some guys at a Power 5 who are not patient enough, right? And maybe they are the guys that send them down. Right. Yeah. Let me just send you here. We'll just trade players and then you can work. You know what I mean? Like that is a farm system.
Absolutely. So I think, you know, it's just a reimagining of the game that isn't familiar to us. But ultimately, I think what we saw, thank goodness, we saw a great Final Four this year. So the product wasn't hurt in the major way, even though I do think we should be concerned. But at least the games were still good.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next, you know, of all the changes, the collective. Talk about like your thoughts of the collective, and we spoke about it a little bit off camera about like the schools that's rewarding the players and kind of dishing out most of the money.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, like, I'm jealous, but it's a bias. You know, even as a coach, I have no problem with the money that the kids are starting to acquire. Like you guys said offline, hopefully they have great managers around them where they're kind of taking advantage of this and using this maybe as startup capital, using this as, you know, chance to like start, you know, thinking about generational wealth. I mean, I think it's great, you know, to come out of school and already have that kind of resources in your bank account. So hopefully guys don't, you know, screw that up. But ultimately, I think that, you know, the collective may get to a point where what's my return on the investment? Like, is it all Final Four or bust? Or is there an ecosystem that understands, like we did as players, that there is a revenue sharing that needs to take place? And for years, you know, the players played and the scholarship felt like it was enough. And clearly that isn't the case anymore. But I support it. I support guys being able to, whether that's from the regular NIL, which is name, image, and likeness, or now with the collective being able to garner through a market that was created for them to garner funds for their future families. I think it's great.
So what are some of the, I mean, you spoke about it, but I guess let's get into it more. If we had rules and we had regulations to put in, what are some of the things you think that we should actually instill?
Oh, good question, Randy. I think I've talked about this in San Antonio this year and Phoenix the previous year. We talked player movement restriction, coach restriction, multi-year contracts. I would love to see guys have to like stay places longer. Like I'm sure there'd be a couple of addendums, like if the coach leave and stuff like that. But multi-year contracts, I'd love to see some of the money be put in escrow and incentivize like maybe finishing school, graduation, or if you leave early, you can get it. Not if you graduate, but something along the lines of that, like to incentivize, like having some of the money being escrow. What else? What other changes I would like?
Anything with the head coaches being able to move without any, regulations? Do you think they should be held to the same standards as a player? Like, we talk a lot about players, moving around, but like if a coach get an opportunity, like he gone and it ain't, I
think there still has to be some level of separation between adults and kids.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, like the money that the players are getting obviously can be life changing.
Right.
But as a coach, it's actually my profession.
Mm.
And even though we're moving into that space where playing basketball can feel like a profession, even at the collegiate level, like I said, I would give that addendum that the player can move if the coach moved.
Okay.
But I wouldn't want to restrict coaches from like doing what's best for their families. So I don't think they're the same.
Yeah.
I just think the product itself benefits when kids don't get to move all around, get stuck in the portal. Like we don't talk about the thousands of kids that get left in the portal, right? That's no one talks about that. So I think ultimately, like having some movement if the coach leaves, that's fine. But I think also like having kids do multi-year contracts, buyouts, all types of stuff, I think now makes kids be more thoughtful about where they go initially. As opposed to, think about it, the college player now has more freedom than the professional player.
Facts.
Right? The professional player is still under contract for a number of years and then still has to go through free agency. Like this Wild Wild West thing that we have still doesn't feel like it's sustainable for our product to be good.
So, this might sound, I haven't done my research on this, right? No, it's up something simple. I know you're like, what you about to say? No, it's something simple because like when all this stuff, the portal, collect, all this stuff just hit, I ain't really like do no deep dive and like, I just hear conversation everybody talking about. So when a kid goes into the portal, right?
Right.
Like, so are they deconrolling? Like they left that school?
No, they probably still got to finish at the school to get those credits, but they enter their name into like now basically they're able to be recruited again. Like a lot of kids, you hear like no contact. That means they already have a school in mind, which I think is smart. But some kids just go in the portal and just hope that they get picked up by a new school.
But if they don't get picked up, they still get to go back to their old school.
Yeah, but maybe not as a student. I mean, maybe not as an athlete.
But you just, okay. Because after that, the coach like, wow, I want you.
Yeah, like you said, those are still one year renewables as far as like scholarships too, though. So the coach may move that scholarship to a new player. So you can't go back to that school because you're not on scholarship.
Oh, yeah. So you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said. That's the underbelly nobody talks about. The thousands of kids that get left in the portal with no school. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of how basketball has such a hold, not probably just in DC, but I remember guys like would leave or disappear and you wouldn't see them all winter. And then they come out in the summer league, Berry Farms, different places. And you'd be like, I haven't seen you. And the guy may say he was overseas, but he really wasn't.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So like, it's kind of like guys can get left in the portal and you just don't know what they're doing. And they might have sat out the whole year and not did anything.
Wow.
Man, listen. If you go in the transfer portal, make sure you come out of it. Please. Please, man.
Facts.
Oh my God. Yeah, you just hit it on the button. Like you end up getting screwed out of education. And I think that's the other piece that's getting missing is kids is transferring and going to all these places. But then like if you're going to school and the coach is like, we just want you to focus on playing ball, like what curriculum are you taking?
Right.
If you're getting there 5-6 years, like I would want kids to get a master's degree. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's getting pushed because
some of them are, but certainly, like you said, because the school consortiums are so complicated, like your credits may not carry over. Right. So there's a lot of stuff that happens. You go to 3, 4, 5 schools. I always say, like, which reunion do you go to? So we've devalued like relationships too. Like we're devaluing like real relationships through the chasing of like one more dollar. You know what I mean? So I think that's what we got to start having more education around what's important long term. And it can't just be the the thirst for like I said, that one more dollar.
I know, right? So we devaluing just that your college experience, man, to be on campus and just enjoy yourself. But you know what? Like I would say to some of the athletes, man, I would get to a university who respects me, who loves me, and if I could get that money there too, stay 4 years, and at the end of the day, some people go get your master's, go get your doctorate, and I'm still getting paid this money. Like, so to me, that's a better. I'm gonna stay this 4 or 5 years. I'm gonna get all this money I can, and while I'm here, I'm investing in doing what I need to do. So if basketball don't work out, I'm really good walking out the door.
Right.
You know,
so that takes a heck of a mindset, right, to do what you just described. Unfortunately, so many young people, as we were, part of this isn't just money. So you think about twofold now. You got the money and you got the natural thing that we all had at some different levels, which is ego. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's the thing that's driving it as well. Like, so if you're at, I don't want to say any, so I'll just say a mid-major, that thirst to like now maybe play at Duke, and if Duke comes calling, like it's like, it's hard to resist like your natural urge, like, oh, they didn't recruit me out of high school, well, I wasn't good. So now you actually get to prove you're good enough in college. Like think about, you may not have finished at Niagara. You know what I mean? Like,
and they threw you the bag, right? Let's say at Niagara you was getting 125. Right. And then all of a sudden Georgetown came, right? And then they offered you $600,000 to come back home.
Yes.
You telling me you gonna stay 4 years at Niagara?
Yeah, it would have been hard for you to stay. Yeah, because you produced, you were a great player there. Somebody would have came calling for you, or you would have just had your own machinations of like wanting to play at a higher level and more money. Like I just think that's the thing. It's the ego and the money that doesn't contain that movement. Like you said, staying put is like really hard to do.
You would have been gone. You would have been gone. You know it. You'd have been like, peace, Dad. I'm going back.
But you know, like even just putting it that way, it's crazy because like they really, like whoever came up, they really sat down, they really thought about that. They really thought that through. Said, we know they're gonna want this and they're gonna want to be able to do this. There's no way they're gonna resist it.
Yeah.
They're gonna move. It's gonna happen. Then now it make me think like, well, how long was this in the works before? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But
like,
you know, to your point, I think it even come back to the NCAA just trying to control everything again, right? You had overseas, like people was getting, high school guys was coming overseas, high school guys was going in the G League. They want that product in the NCAA. Yeah. You know what I mean? So now it is incentivized that these one and dones at least come play 1 year in college. And that brings the ratings back up. Like, who wouldn't want to see Cooper Flagg play in college? Or who was the guys like the Thompson twins? I would have loved to see them in college, right? They went to, what did they do? OTE? They went to OTE. And now
hold on, what's OTE?
Oh man, really? Overtime.
Overtime
elite.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, okay.
So like that was another like off-brand league where guys could come in there.
Because remember, you only got to be 1 year removed from your high school class.
Okay.
So they was going there instead of going to college, and they was getting paid. Right. So like the Thompson twins, the kid who's at Houston, the kid at Detroit, like they went there. And like you see what they're doing in the NBA. Can you imagine them in college?
Yeah, like you said, we got to sort of see Zion for a year.
Yeah.
Like, even if you can get a year out of him, it still makes the college game like still viable. I agree with you. Like I think also like you we talked about these collectives and these boosters just really took advantage of the NCAA, what I call, absolving their duty. Right. You know what I mean? It's almost like they, in my opinion, they want it to be like chaotic so it can look like they're needed again. You know what I mean? So, because I think they've been taking some punches for a long time, and rightfully so, on some of it. But I think that the absolution of duty has made this like free-for-all that we're all going to be clamoring for some type of control. We just talked about it. And kind of how can we get that back? And so they certainly want to stay relevant and be governors of that at some point. They'll want to get back their power structure of like, it won't never go back to where, the players aren't getting paid. But like now people like us, we're clamoring for some rules.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, what do you think is a role? Because you hear these guys who are GMs of colleges, like, and to me, when you hear an NBA guy being a GM, like I feel like they're just a sponsor. But like, what roles do you think they actually play in these schools?
Man, I watched a documentary on Rachel Baker from Duke. I mean,
sending me that, please.
Yeah, I mean, these people, you know, they should be very equipped, obviously, with numbers. It's a new space. But basically, it's the person now who works with the coach. So if you were the GM, I'm the coach, we work together on getting this roster together. Okay. So you would kind of be the one doing all the work, you know, with the families and kind of figuring out how much money we have in our collective. What are we willing to spend, you know, for each player? So it really is structuring the roster based on the money we have. Okay. So that's their role as a GM. I'm sure they have other roles, but the major role is to like structure our roster as far as when it comes to money.
Yeah. All I could think about, I'm gonna laugh at this, is a throwback. Did any of y'all used to play Madden? Yeah, the franchise, right? Where at the end of the year, you get the, like, my favorite part was doing the roster restructure. Right. Not even the season. Right. I used to sit there with the salary cap and try to make all these trades.
It's like those little memes you see now where people give you like all these players and they give you a certain amount of money. Yeah. And like who would your five be? Yeah. That's basically like what the GM's doing, like trying to structure a roster based on like how much money we have. Like, so we're paying, like you said, Cooper Flag, X amount of dollars. Like, you know, how much do we pay Isaiah Evans? Like, so that's, you know, that ability to do that, certainly to have the funds at their disposal, but they probably now going to start having more business backgrounds. Yeah. But that's what the GMs do in the league. You know, that's why they get a lot of credit, because I mean, the coach coaches the team, but the GM has that's why you see in the NFL, like some of the better coaches always wanted, they didn't just want to, they want to be able to not just cook, they wanted to buy the food as well. So you see that coach GM model, because it's like you're sitting back and hopefully you have a good GM that gets you good players.
And they got to be on the same page.
Right. Absolutely.
They definitely got to be on the same page.
Right, because you may be thinking more about the cap. Right. And I may be thinking about like my job security.
You see it all the time. Yeah. You see it all the time. And the teams that they ain't on the same page, their team blow up. You know? Yeah, but shout out to the kids at Duke for actually staying. I'm actually excited to see what they're going to do. I'm a big fan of Darren Harris. Yeah. So I thought he was going to bounce, but he decided to stay. I'm excited to see what comes from
Absolutely.
That. So, man, let's jump back into coaching. You know, what got you into coaching and why?
Man, I think probably like a lot of coaches that I at least talked to, I didn't have any dreams of coaching, honestly. Like, I think going to Sidwell, going to Rice University, I'd already kind of formulated my mind into like, you know, taking advantage of that level of education to have a career that was commensurate to that. Thinking about going back to reunions and knowing that some of your classmates were going to be doing like investment banking and different stuff like that. You always wanted to feel like you were, you know, you could come back and be like, yeah, I'm doing this, you know, so. But I think I got a cup of water, a cup of coffee across seas, and then I came back and I worked at a law firm first. That was my major. I wanted to get into international relations, but I wanted to work first instead of doing law school first and kind of see if I really liked it. It was fine. Didn't love it. Yeah. And so then I started just coaching like little kids, like just kind of, you know, getting around little rec ball at AAU and started realizing like, you know, I loved it like that, but I still didn't think about coaching at this level. And then all of a sudden, you know, I took that group up from probably 4th or 5th grade up to 8th grade. And then, you know, Keith Beckett and Coach Turner kind of recognized my ability for whatever. I started coming down, you know, hanging out more, playing with you guys and playing with, I remember Tyler in that group, and I got on, you know, coaching at the high school level with Gonzaga, which I thought was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm coaching like, you know, at Gonzaga. And like, you know, I was just planning to be there for years. Right. You know, kind of learning the ropes and being in such a great program. And I think that year they might have went 30 something and won. Right. So not only do you get to coach at a great school, like you have that kind of year, you're like, man, it must be because I came. No, shout out to Steve. I'm just joking. And then a year later, you know, you get the call from your alma mater to say they want you to come, you know, be a coach, and I wasn't even going to take it because I didn't think I was ready. And I remember a mentor of mine just saying, like, you're never ready until you start. Right. And so I do think the serendipitous nature of like it being my alma mater probably gave me more push to do it. Even though it probably was a job that most people didn't think we could probably get to this level. But I always say coaching found me. I certainly wasn't looking for it. So, but, I'm blessed to be really good at it. Doesn't feel like work, all those things you hear, those cliches. So, no, it's been an amazing journey.
Nah, man, you are one of the best that I've seen,
Appreciate that.
You got a rare skill at being able to coach and the ability to see everybody's strengths and weaknesses, put them in those situations, but also firm enough to coach hard. Like I watched you this year, and like I text you and I was like, yo, you coaching a Kaden Lewis, like he a freshman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was no, oh, he's a 5-star guy, let me chill. Like you still like in a world right now where coaches are coaching to keep players.
Right.
You're not coaching to keep them, you're coaching to get them better still. You know what I mean?
I remember you sending me that text and like, you're not looking for it, but like that was affirmation. You breathe life into me like when you hear stuff like that, because thank goodness it comes natural to me. But still, like when somebody affirms that, then it like, it makes you feel good about the work that you're doing. And that like I'm doing the right thing, because like coaching is coaching, like, like that's where I think our culture, and just I think high school basketball in general could possess this, but certainly in a place like Sidwell, I think it's self-contained in a way, like, we just happen to be good at basketball. Like that shouldn't be the reason that you come.
Right.
And so therefore, given those parameters, I'm able to coach in a way, not that I wouldn't do that anywhere else, but I'm able to coach in a way where like, well, what are you here for? Like if I got to like be soft on you or not coach the game the way that I know it to be, it doesn't matter like that you're a 5-star. You still got to do that research paper. And so I definitely remember you sending me that text, and I was like, that was affirmation that, I was still like being noticed that, man, like you coaching the heck out of this kid. Even though others may try to coddle or do stuff like that. That's just not my style.
And it's another thing that you do on the sidelines. One thing that I've seen is after every kid subs out, right? You have like it might be 10 seconds or 30-second convo where you just disengage from the game and you talk to them. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know what you're talking about, but like, it was something that was very noticeable to me. And then the kids, obviously, they're engaging with you. It's those little things that I feel like matter.
Oh man, that's powerful, Stan. Like that means you got a keen eye. I mean, like that. I always tell people we want to win the huddle. Like we might not win the game, but I want our huddle to look better than the other team. Like when we're huddling, like when we run off the floor. So those are just those touch points that, I've gotten better at coaching. I don't feel the need to like coach every possession. So you can disengage for a second. And credit to my staff. I mean, they do a great job of, being my eyes and my blind spots. So I'm able to do that with players. Like, and I want them to always feel connected to me, but I always want them to feel like I'm giving them some level of instruction where I think one of the things that's made us good is the unequivocal nature of like what they're coming out for. Like either it's a regular sub or it's probably like a defensive mistake. I try not to overcoach them on the offensive end, so they kind of know what they're coming out for. So I think that's helped us. Like it's not a lot of mystery and like, why you're being pulled out the game.
Yeah, no, man, I hear transparency and I hear vulnerability. And I think those are keys in life, not just basketball.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's funny, I just read something that talked about boundaries, right? And I said, most people don't necessarily need boundaries. They just need to learn how to communicate and speak up.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow. That we label as boundaries. It's funny you say that because I'm trying to establish more boundaries for myself.
Yeah.
I feel like at times I love being accessible to my players, parents, people in general, but I can't tell you the last time I took like a real vacation. Yeah. So I'm really looking at like, it's funny you say that.
Get that man his vacation, man. Get that man his vacation. He earned it.
And I know a lot of that shit's on me. I know that like, my girl and, my ex now, but she wouldn't say the same. Like, like you work so hard, kind of like learn to like treat yourself better. Obviously, she would have benefited from that as well, right? But those are things I'm trying to work on as I continue to mature into my career. Kind of like not so much work-life balance, because I believe in being passionate about what I'm doing. I actually love going to work and getting better at basketball, getting better as a coach, being a better communicator, better mentor. But I certainly need to, think about establishing those boundaries as I move forward.
Well, they'll get there. They'll get there. We just talked about it. They'll get there. So talk to me about like your biggest lesson. Like go through a time when you were coaching and adversity hit. And then talk about some of your most rewarding times as a coach.
They're probably kind of congruent. I was asked this the other day. What was a situation you had to hold a kid and accountable? Like, how do you do those things? Like in this climate, like you were saying, coaching a Kaden Hart. I remember suspending Josh Hart for a game that was a pivotal game. We ended up losing by like a point or two. So not only didn't play, but we almost won. But it was almost perfect that we didn't. Because as we see, that guy's an unbelievable competitor.
Right.
He's the guy that, like, if he got in trouble, my philosophy is putting that player in the middle of the floor in a chair and making everybody else run, as opposed to like making him run. Like, and he wanted to run. He's like, no, he would have ran all day for his punishment. For sure. But I made him watch us run, and that destroyed like his whole sense of like. And that was a very effective tool to use. But that was a moment where I think not only did it support his longevity and understanding how important he was to our team, but how important he was to himself and his family, and that, the standard is a standard. And so I think as a young coach, that showed me that I was strong enough to do that to my best player. And that set the tone like for the rest of the program. But it was a lesson for me that how important that is. And you didn't do it on purpose. He earned it. Yeah. But certainly that, it was a moment that each coach is in a moment when you either do that or you don't. Either way, something's going to happen. Like, you know what I mean? So I think I learned a lesson about accountability, and that, I don't really have to write down rules. I'm the boss. I can pivot whenever I want, because I always tell young coaches, don't write it down, because if you write it down, you got to do it. You know what I mean? So I don't want to punish many. Like, I've gotten better. Like, I still may hold you accountable, it may be in a different way. Right. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like, I always say, like, but sticking to your standards, letting your culture be the fabric and the North Star, like, of what you do, not letting one person. You want to be sensitive to individual needs, but if your culture is your North Star, then everybody's going to kind of fit into that. So I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned. And that came to fruition this year. We talked about earlier, like with this team being riddled with major injuries. Our culture carried us to all the results that we had this year.
Now, I'm thinking, me and Rennie kind of smiled, right? I was wondering, did you think the same thing as me of, like, when a kid got in trouble, like when we was up at Niagara, if they would have let everybody else run except for the people that was involved, would we have cared? Like, seriously, would we have been like, hey, I was better you than me? Would we have been like, damn, that's messed up.
I feel like that. My bad, y'all. I feel like my bad, y'all. And I probably one part, I was like, you be getting on my nerves, though.
Right.
Wait, get this suicide shit.
Right. That's the thing. Like, you never know what the outcome of that's going to be. You just try. Basically, like you said, I didn't know, right? I just tried something. I was like, this feels better. Like, to have him feel the pain of other people running. Like you said, he couldn't have not cared. He's taking the risk for sure.
All I'm thinking about, it's funny because in like 2 weeks we got our guy, our AD.
Okay,
he's gonna come on the show from back when we was at Niagara. He's the AD at VCU now.
Okay, nice.
Right, and he has such a pivotal decision to make with us, during that time frame, and he gave us grace, and obviously, it helped us.
Right,
but like, I just remember during that time, the accountability. We were all sitting in a chair like this, and the coaches was asking us questions. And we just had a code for whatever reason of thinking that this is some street stuff. They were like, well, nobody's saying nothing. We was looking at people like, you better not say anything.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a risk, like you said. Like, but I thought that was a pivotal moment for the program. I think the way the kids cared about each other, like in high school, like you said, college, they could be a little tricky, but I think high school, that definitely still works.
Yeah, for sure. So we see that Coach Turner, our old coach, he went on and want to say the Mount Verde, right? Mount Verde. I knew what school it was. I was pronouncing it, say the wrong name.
Really one of those guys that I used to hate, like that was so good at basketball, but didn't know like all the stuff. Like I know all the stuff. I know all the players, the top cars, and all that.
We be talking about this on the show.
And Rennie just show up and bust everybody out. You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, bro, you don't know this.
Yeah. Then he go do something else. Like I remember, who was like that? I don't know if you remember this name. He's older, like Khalid Reeves. He played in Arizona. Like he was so amazing player, but they said he didn't watch no basketball. Like,
he blushing right now because he know it's true. He know it's true.
All right, so Coach Turner moved on. Mike Jones, he went to to the collegiate level, and especially around this time. And you are an amazing coach, and let's say if someone wants to come and ask, hey, you want another opportunity, would you want to go the route for stay high school like what Turner did, or would you want to go a step above and go to the collegiate level?
Man, yeah, it's interesting you say that, man. Like, you get to a point in your career where you're at these called inflection points. And I think I'm right at the edge of that point, trying to figure out whether to do high school, a la Morgan Wooten, so to speak, and kind of ride it out, or do you make the jump and try something new at the next level that has its own challenges, mostly like, career volatility and instability. But yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Like, honestly, I think I'm open to the universe more than I used to be. I think coaching in college was never like this voracious goal for me. But I certainly know that I have the ability to do it. And I constantly think about doing it at times, but then I also think about, what I'm doing, great work at this level, whether that were to be at Sidwell or anywhere else. I think the beautiful part is that I think if I did either one, I would be fulfilled both ways. And so I don't know how to unequivocally answer that question, but I'm just open to opportunities. I'm open to kind of hopefully like what moves me, not so much that I don't have to be a willing participant in that decision, but I would certainly hope to have some type of feeling that would move me to take either opportunity.
Okay, cool. No, I definitely like that. Now when you said that, like being open to the universe, like I'm kind of like in that spirit right now. Me, I was a person, I'm in my box. I stayed in my box. And I'm like, I'm right here.
Creature of comfort for sure. Yeah, 100%. Like all my family's here in DC. Like it's a lot of reasons that I could point to why I would want to stay and continue doing what I'm doing. It's been working. It's been successful. So kind of upsetting the movement and the apple cart of that, isn't easy for any of us to do. But I'm trying to be much more, like I said, open to what's out there for me, and that my impact could reach even further, farther than what I'm doing now.
So I want to go on the AAU side a little bit, right? So what advice would you give like players and parents when they're kind of going through this, trying to, figure out like what would be the best program to do, because there's just so much out here right now?
Easy question. I've always said that educating yourself on what AAU really is. They don't have enough time. It's not their job to develop your son as a player or your daughter. It's a platform and a showcase. And so if that's the case, then if you're not playing 15 to 20 minutes a game, then like you're wasting your time. And two things happen in an organization. You either outgrow them and to the point where you may be better and you want a bigger opportunity, or they can outgrow you and go out and get new players. And sometimes you're not good enough to earn those 15 to 20 minutes on that team. And so I think the beautiful part is that there's tiers of AAU. And to me, it's no different. As a high school coach, I want my guys playing. Like, it doesn't serve me well for guys to be playing on like one of the top organizations playing 5 minutes a game. That doesn't serve me well. I need my guys because the only thing you either gain or lose in basketball is confidence. And that comes from making mistakes. That comes from taking shots and forgiving yourself for the misses. That comes from putting the ball in the hole, like just all the stuff that we know that happens in the game that can only happen if you're playing. So my advice is simple. If you're not playing 15 to 20 minutes a game, then you're wasting your time. And it's your job to figure out where you can do that. That might not be at the top program. That may be at another program at the next level. And still, that's your job. Like, why would I want to go through the summer being disgruntled and being, disillusioned, taking these trips, and I'm not playing?
Yeah. And I think it still amazes me, and it's been going on for a long time now, like, being back and kind of in a neighborhood and you going down N Street and you going past Dunbar and Colors and it's none of the kids out there playing, right? Mm-hmm. So from what you're saying, like, I want my kids playing, but like, I know for me, when I played AAU, we played with Silver Spring Blue Devils, but then we got to a point where it was some stuff where they was kind of, our coach left and tried to want to create his own team, but then we tried to go back. But then I remember I was just like, forget this, man, because I'm going to go play every day at the court. Right. Like, every day we going to play. You know what I'm saying? So, like, even if the kid's playing on the AAU team or a top team, he not getting that time, and y'all not playing outside. So it's like, yeah, like, you really not really getting no work.
Like, basically, like, your question becomes, you answered it. Like, it's imperative that you find the right program to play for, because you're not getting the extra pickup ball that we played. So you're not even getting that. So basically, you're getting, your high school team may start doing some workouts. You're certainly getting a couple of practices during the week with your AAU team. And then on the weekend, if you're not playing, like, your growth is still being stunted because you're not playing pickup ball. Certainly not playing with older guys. You're not even playing with people your age. Mm-hmm. Like, I always tell people, like, I never thought I was a good player until the older guys in my neighborhood let me play. Like, that's the first time I was like, oh yeah, I can play now. Mm-hmm. Like, and I won an elementary school championship. I won a junior high school championship at Kelly Miller. And right at that edge of like 8th grade, when they first let me play around at Woodland, that's the first time I thought I could play. And as you get older, a lot of these guys didn't even play in high school, for different reasons. Yeah. But a lot of these guys didn't play in high school and college. But like, those were my heroes and idols. And by the time I got on the court with them was the first time I thought, like, I belong and I could play this game.
Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts about the coaches attending the tournaments where it's like, it's not the live period? It was not the time where like the top coaches will come and everybody doing the recruiting, like, of players playing and just excessively in these tournaments.
You mean like at the end of the year, end of the summer?
Yeah.
Like that?
Mm-hmm. No, another good question, Brandon. It's a catch-22 because I love to see kids play, right? I love kids playing, but I also believe in rest and recovery as a big, hallmark of our program. Even some of my colleagues are always like, man, I can't believe y'all take that many days off. And I just believe in that, right? I don't believe in the mantra of no days off. I knew what that meant, but it wasn't meant to be taken literally. Like, you're only as good as the recovery and rest you can get. So some of those tournaments, like, I'm sure they're beneficial for somebody, but at the end of the day, kudos to the organizers, like, who get money from it. But yeah, sometimes, like, if I'm playing in too many events where I thought the purpose was to play to get the showcase. And so if the coaches aren't there, then like, yeah, what's the purpose of me playing? I mean, I know some of these things can be streamed now. And so maybe it's some good, valuable tape for you. So that's why I say it's a catch-22, but like, ultimately I wouldn't want to play in too many events where I'm not being seen, like, by college coaches.
Yeah.
What was your rest period? You just mentioned that you have some people were surprised at your what is that?
Oh man, I think it comes in a lot of ways, Stan. I think at a certain point of the year, you go from 2 hours to one, taking more days off. Basically, because I know there's test schedule. I listen to my captains. Like sometimes I'll see practice and it was kind of dragging, and they'll be like, "We're tired." You know what I mean? So I listen. I just believe in now since the season's been over. Kids kind of quickly transition into like AAU. So we haven't been like we'll get in the gym this week. Monday will be the first time that we've got in the gym, and so some programs, like I guess at our level, wouldn't dream of taking that amount of time off. But I just believe there's no rush to get back to which we know can be like a long year. Like you said, they're kind of overused. A lot of my guys run track, so it was no reason for me to try to put more load on them than they needed to.
So you said just a couple questions. Do you promote those guys running track so they could be better athletes, or is that just something they want to do?
No, I promote it. I promote the multi-sport athlete. I still believe in that. We're a small school, so we definitely need kids participating in more sports, and certainly if they don't play a real skilled ball sport, I try to make them do track, to not only become a better athlete, but to support the school. Like sometimes the track team wins because they got a lot of people in it.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So I try to instill that in them. But like, no, a lot of our kids, obviously in the day of specialization, but we still have some guys that play, whether it's soccer players, like Ian Condon, like one of our great, young players. He's one of the top, shot put discus guys like in DC.
So that explains his I don't want to say girth. I want to say size. Damn. Yeah. Physique. There we go. Thank you, E. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't know he did that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's strong.
Yeah.
He's strong, man. I think he's having a good season too in the AAU.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he feels very comfortable. You can see what last season we talked about confidence. Certainly good work ethic, talent's there, but confidence is like really high right now. So that's the thing that you see manifest. Like, now when you shoot we all been there. Like when you're confident, and we've probably been there when we weren't as confident. So we know the difference, right? Yep. It's a huge difference when you're super confident and when you're not.
Yeah, I struggled with that in college, not being confident in myself. And it took me going back to the wheelhouse to develop that again. Yeah. I had to refine myself.
Yeah, it doesn't stay there just automatically. You know what I mean? Like it's not given out in abundance. Like I said, even today, I think the fascinating thing about as talented as these players are today, one of the things I always say is that because they've been coached for so long, since they were probably 5 or 6 years old, that they can be coached, but they can't play. Mm-hmm. Like if you kind of put them out there and just say, go play, they would struggle to do that.
Yeah. Okay, I was just thought when we were talking about recovery, I can't remember the guest that came on the show, but I think that we was talking along about recovery, and he was like, the amateurs, they
Alex Harris.
Yeah, so when Alex is saying like the amateurs, like end of the day, like, they are kind of like pros, but then they the only ones that don't have an off season, because once they come from school, you're going right to AU, right. you're going. It's like you said, it's important to take a break. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And like do that recovery. So that was just.
It's a major part of being an athlete. Like there is no becoming the best athlete you're trying to be without recovery.
Yeah.
And like rest, like real treatment, right? Real treatment, real recovery, real rest. There is no getting to the next level without doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's scary because you're like, oh man, I'm missing time. No, you're actually getting better with recovery and treatment.
Yeah. And if you know what? And if they want to do, watch film, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Watch some film. Right. That's probably one of the best things you can do
right there. That's not a day off, right?
Yeah.
So you're still putting the time in, but you're not physically pounding your body like every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. You were just talking about players been coached, but they can't play, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I used to do, you remember Craig Lascines?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the summertime, this is right before he went overseas, right? He was working with me. And I was like, you know what? We're not gonna get in the gym today. We just gonna go to a random gym and play pickup, right? Now I was still playing around that time, right? So like I was able to still kind of have rank in the gym where I'd be like, I got next. And you know what I mean? And so, but I told him, I was like, I'm not going to be aggressive. I was like, I just want you to make an impact on this game, right? And I feel like we didn't even talk about training culture, but like I think it's something to be said of kids just going into a gym. Cause like I used to go play in different neighborhoods all the time, right? And that's how I got my respect and things of that nature. But go in here and make an impact. And he had a really tough time doing it. Really tough time doing it. And like I was like, you're the biggest kid out here. There's no rebound you shouldn't get. Right? There's no reason why you just can't learn to dominate a game. Like you should, if we go into 11, you should have 8 or at least be responsible for it. Right? So like this is teaching you how to grow into what you're trying to look to become on the court. Right? I wonder how many kids can actually go to a random gym where it's not facilitated, where you got the ball in your hand and just
figure it out.
You know, like
not many. Like you said, it's a big culture of like, you know, even the training. Kudos to all the trainers that do great work. But the ones that probably the most successful kind of have more group and like, you know, still playing 1s, playing 3s, and like, because if you do too much individual training, that still doesn't allow you to see the game in the lens with 9 other people on the floor, right? You know, 4 your teammates and then 5, you know, defenders. Like, how do you navigate those spaces? And then, like you said, especially a space like pickup where there's no whistle. So you're not even being like protected by the whistle.
Nothing.
You kind of got to figure out, like, kind of play through. Not get a call, make a call, just any of those things that we grew up doing. Like it's a whole new climate. Like even when we play open gym, I've introduced different rules that I think help us to kind of get back to the space that you're talking about. You know what I mean? So my open gym isn't just getting up and down. Like, you know, I do different days, I do different things, you know, to try to make it like really as nasty as it can be.
Yeah. Remember we ain't had no out of bounds back in the day?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. That's and that was cool because like growing up with Bing, he practiced did us like that. So when we went to Niagara and it was nasty, you know, it was nasty. We ain't calling nothing. Don't look at me for no foul. The ball roll over there, go get it. Whoever get it, you bring it back down the other end. And I'm like, oh man, this like back home. This feel good to me.
For sure. I mean, you grew up in the trenches like that. That's what I'm saying. Like by the time you made it to high school, like, you know, you guys were super tough. Like I remember that was the one thing that impressed me about Tyler Thornton. Like when I first got to Gonzaga, I was like, hold on, man, this freshman is out here cheating to win. I'm like, he's different. I'm like, that's a throwback right there. Like, he's cheating to win. I'm like, this guy, he'll foul you and not give you the call. Like, as a freshman, I knew the kid was going to be special because he was already cheating to win as a freshman.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I'm probably going to get some feedback for that one later on. But all right, so we got a game we played, man, called Either Or.
Okay.
Right? We got some good ginger. You eat ginger?
I do.
So Riddy's on his own.
So Riddy doesn't eat ginger?
No, he don't like it.
I do not like it.
You know?
Man, you missing out, man. Like ginger, turmeric, all that stuff, man. Like you see Riddy still look good and young. So you feel like he don't know the benefits of these things, man.
I mean, you know what? To be honest with you, right? I thought about it. I was like, man, because I wanted to keep killing me on the show every time. I was like, no, let me cut some of these drinks and start trying to eat it in the morning time so I can get used to it.
Right.
So I'm gonna give you a question. You go back and forth. If you pick both, then we got all take a
okay.
What would you call this? I don't want to say a hit of ginger. A piece of ginger.
Ginger shot.
Ginger
so
shot.
hold on. So if I say both, okay, I got you.
Yeah, if you pick one, then nobody.
Okay.
So that's what Rennie would prefer that you pick
somebody. Okay.
You know? So if you would say both every time, I am fine.
I won't do that to you, man. I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna be all the way fair.
All right. Sidwell or Rice?
Damn. The city of Houston owes me nothing, but I would still say Sidwell.
Okay. All right. Coaching or playing?
Coaching.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go food. Roof Chris or the Palm?
Both.
Ha!
Yeah, both. I like both.
Oops. That's cool. Don't worry, bro. We get it.
Oh man. That's vicious right there.
Uh-huh. I cut him up this morning.
Ooh.
I know you did too.
I'm gonna be healthy the rest of the day.
All right.
We need to start bringing more water back up here.
Oh, yeah.
Got that nice bird.
Yeah. Backyard or Red Essence?
Oh my God. I'm dating myself because I obviously grew up on Essence, but I argue this all the time. I'm mesmerized by G, man. Like I'm mesmerized by his voice. And so I'm gonna go. It don't mean that they're better than Essence, but I'm gonna go Backyard for me.
Okay. All right. Skill or confidence?
Confidence.
So you go there. Okay. Sadiq Bey or Josh Hart?
You about to get me in trouble. You about to get me in trouble. Man. Oh my God, Stan, you about to get me in trouble. I love the young fella, but I'm gonna go with the old head because him and Jamal Lewis got it started for me. So I'm gonna go Jay Hart.
Okay. All right, I get that.
I thought you was about to say both. I was like,
I told you it would be fair.
Melo Ball or John Morant?
Oh my God, these are good. Melo Ball or John Morant? I'm gonna go Ja.
Go Ja. Okay. All right. Mike Malone or Taylor Jenkins?
Oh my God. Mike Malone.
Mike Malone. Okay. Okay. Popovich or Phil Jackson?
I'm a rock with Pop.
You know,
I'm a rock with Pop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It feels great when rock with Pop. I like Pop style.
Okay. Steve Kerr or Eric Palestra?
Steve Kerr or Spoelstra.
Oh dang, I messed his name up.
No, you good. Oh my God. It's good, man. Steve Kerr or Spoelstra. I'm gonna go both. Cause it's just like I can't pick like neither one.
I feel like they do a really good job of maxing out what they got, like every single time. You know,
my thing with the coaches like the like for Phil, right?
right?
I always want to know, like, was Phil a good coach or did he just have the best players?
But you know,
Because I didn't know like if he really coached.
You still.
I think what he did off the court.
Okay.
I think what he did on the court and the messaging makes him a great coach. He's definitely coached really good teams. So I think oftentimes your question is legit, but based on what we've witnessed, at least in the documentary portion of it, and what I think he knew how to get through the players of that level at this, whatever, the Zen master, like all that stuff, like, handling Dennis Rodman, handling Mike. Like, think about it, it wouldn't be easy to coach Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Like, to coach both of those guys, I have to give, like, you're a different dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're a different dude to have those relationships be to the point where they respect you so much. That's work. That don't just happen. Like, that ain't X's and O's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like probably like a really good communicator and managing Yeah.
He got them to trust him,
Right.
buy in. You know, that's hard to do.
Yeah, I think as coaches, like we often get, it's natural, you know, when the team isn't that good, or what people perceive. And if you do a great job, people will recognize it. And then sometimes when you're like really talented, people will be like, well, you didn't do that great of a job, because they don't know how to manage or decipher, you know, when you did a great job, because they may not know the inner workings of, like, you know, what did John Shire have to do, you know, with Cooper and all so it's like easy to think they're supposed to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And they to your point with John Shire, I thought they did a really good job mid-year. So like in the beginning of the year, this is just my bias, right? The kid Knuppel, right? I felt like they had the ball in his hands too much early on, right? And where he's more of he can make shots, but like trying to get him to do everything, like you could just see, even though they was winning, it was real stagnant to me, you know? But once they kind of released him of that duty, and then, you know, he made plays off the catch and shoot versus the pick and roll, I just felt like they became a team that was really hard to beat. That's just my synopsis.
Yeah, no, I definitely you saw them grow as a team. I mean, I think that any young team, you're going to see that no matter how talented they are. Sports generally punishes young teams. Yeah. Just because like you just never been there. You know, you do have the audacity to think you can do it because you just don't know enough. Yeah. But ultimately, like, you know, whether it's execution or role acceptance, like there's a lot of stuff that gets in the way with young teams. And clearly, I mean, you kind of saw that manifest itself like slightly just with the Houston game. Yeah. Like that was experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Isaiah Thomas or CP3?
I mean, I'm showing Isaiah Lord Thomas out of Chicago, Illinois. Yeah. One of my favorite players of all time. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So underrated.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is crazy.
Right.
I think because you see him, everybody sees him talking now, right? Sometimes his personality gets in the way of what he was able to do. Same with Barkley. You know, like you ain't respecting who he was on the court because you get to hear him talk. But like I always say, there's a different mindset to be able to be a monster on that court. Yeah. And it's hard to get that out of the way.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, that guy was tough as they come. Not only was he super skilled and talented, but he was the leader of the bad boys. Yeah. Like, you know, don't think that he wasn't the one that made these guys be as tough and fighting and, you know what I mean? Zeke, and he had to do it in the land of giants. Like with Magic and Mike, like he got 2 chips in a tough era. Yeah. And I think the guy's incredible. You know?
Okay. All right. Melo or T-Mac? Carmelo.
Oh, Anthony?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Melo.
Okay. Okay. All right. Kobe or Bron?
Kobe.
Okay. Shaq or Jokic?
Yeah, I mean, these are amazing. Like, the joke is special, but the Diesel.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. Diesel, you know, I do think there's a discredit to the older guys on what they couldn't do in this era. Right. Right. Like Shaq, there was a play where Shaq like dribbled up the court and dumped it off, and then one of them when he dunked it. Right. Like Jokic pushes the ball up the court, but imagine if Shaq was allowed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like we often mistake what we see today as some new skill set that some of the older guys didn't have, as opposed to, like you said, the style of play that introduces players to have that skill set. So it doesn't mean they don't have it. It just means that the style of play, like what young big isn't working on stuff now that they wouldn't have worked on in the past. So like, yeah, with Shaq's ability and speed and like you tell me if like, you know, he may have never shot the 3 like Jokic because his hand size and different stuff like that, but still, yeah, there's no reason for me to believe that eras couldn't cross over if you were allowed to play a certain way. That's why I'm really those debates are often tough. Yeah. because I don't try to discredit the youth, and I also try not to be too nostalgic. But I'm like, yeah, if you've never been hand checked,
Right.
like then how do I know if you can really, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then so it's like sometimes like when the rules were more restrictive, it's easy. If I do have to debate it, then my default is that, well, if it was harder, then why would I think you could do it? Like I would have to believe that they could do this, which is a little bit easier than you could do if it was harder. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't,
Right.
but like I would have to believe the default would be you didn't run through the lane getting checked.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like if the freedom of movement is here, then why wouldn't I think that Michael wouldn't average more points?
Right.
And that's how I would think, Fonz. I'm like, if Reggie Miller shot 15 threes,
Right.
like if he was just able to just come down and bird, like, man, what?
Right.
So we ain't even gonna ask you the MJ Brown one. We gonna let that. We just gonna let that one be.
Yeah, don't insult him.
Yeah, I won't even do it too. Yeah.
All right, so at the end, man, we always close off the interview was, you know, everybody want to be successful, right? But the main thing is trying to handle that success, maintain it. What advice would you want to give the audience, players, parents, whomever, that how they could maintain that success?
That's a good question, Manny. I think that, especially because it's not like when you're in the midst of it, that's why even sometimes I get uncomfortable with people, you know, talking about me or my success, because I'm like, I'm still doing it. Like I don't have that lens. I can't 3D out and like kind of have an out of body experience to see like kind of what I've really done. Certainly I have reflection and I have people to tell you what you've done. I would think that one of the hardest things that we struggle with as human beings in general is like it's trying to be as consistent as possible, right? Really having a North Star, having a compass, having a roadmap to that success and kind of trying to stick to that. Also, but being pliable though, being flexible enough to like pivot, whether that's emotionally, whether that's physically, being able to pivot. There'll be times where you have those moments. But to me, I think being as consistent as possible, you know, especially if you've had some success. And so there's a formula to it. I think that like, that's the biggest thing I can say, like, you know, really be, you know, ground yourself in consistency, ground yourself in routine, ground yourself in work ethic. You know, there's nothing replaces, you know, trying to outwork, just outwork yourself, you know, not even about other people, right? Obviously we're in a space where we compete against one another in other schools, but try to outdo yourself. You know, a lot of the lessons we heard from Kobe, you know, Mamba mentality and all those things are real, just kind of having a real perspective. But one of the things I do think people don't talk about enough is actually finding a level of detachment. Because I think sometimes you can hold on to something like really tight and it can still come through your hands because you're actually holding it too tight. And so I think there needs to be a very driven, almost obsessive way to chase, you know, basketball. But the more you can be detached, probably why you were so successful, the more you can be detached and like have other things that interest you. And like you really like spend the time doing those things and not think that they're incongruent with your success in basketball. I think that level of detachment also puts you in a place where you're not as anxious about all the outcomes and the failures that happen. Because I always say the beautiful thing about sports is the only place you can get an F and be successful.
Right.
Right. There is no grade you can get more than an F. 3 out of 10 baseballs, you're an all-star. Right. 6 out of 10 passes, like you're a great quarterback. Right. Steph, as great as he shoots it at 40-something%. Right? Like there's no grade but an F. You know, you just got to get a better F than somebody else. You know what I mean? So I think you can't get 3 out of 10 projects at work. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like, you know, this is a great space to be in, to actually chase your dreams. And I always tell people it's okay to run out of talent.
Yeah.
Like let that be like no other excuses, but if you run out of talent, that's fine. Right? But don't let the other things, the trappings, and things that, you know, that sabotage your success, don't let those things get in the way. But if you run out of talent, that's cool.
Man, this has been a pleasure.
Yeah,
man,
I appreciate y'all having me,
coming
man.
on the show.
It's been a long time. I know we've been talking about it, so I'm like, seriously, I want to give you guys just the encouragement to keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Super proud of you. You guys putting together a super quality show. It's my honor to be here and like have the people kind of get to. I feel like people know me, but like not really. So,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sitting on the hill. Like most people don't even know I grew up in Southeast.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Sidwell now, and so like I feel like this was a great platform for me to kind of come talk. Just some hoops in life with you guys. So I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, man, for real.
I think the timing was right.
Yeah,
the timing was right. And this was definitely a keynote of basketball and to me leadership. Which is something that is lacking, just in the country in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That I think accountability, leadership is things that we need to get back to. And I think you represent that very well, my brother.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
So, man, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe.
And always stay game related.